If you think great birding only happens in remote wilderness, think again. Some of the most incredible close encounters with waterfowl happen right in the middle of busy cities, surrounded by thousands of people. In this video, we explore 2 urban parks in Southern California where ducks and other birds are so tame you can practically reach out and touch them. You will learn which species show up at these urban hotspots, why these birds behave so differently from their wild counterparts, and how you can find these same experiences yourself. We will also cover key identification tricks for tricky species like red-winged versus tricolored blackbirds, and we will show you why city parks deserve a spot on every birder's must-visit list. Before we dive in, if you love discovering hidden nature spots and learning the secrets of bird identification, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is dedicated to showing you the unexpected wildlife that exists all around us, even in places you would never expect. So our first stop was Santee Lakes Recreation Preserve, just east of San Diego. This place covers 190 acres and sees over 700,000 visitors every single year. 700,000! That is a lot of people. But here's the thing. Those visitors are mostly campers, fishermen, and families having picnics. They are not necessarily birders. And that is precisely why the birds here are so incredibly approachable. The birds have figured out that humans mean food, whether that food is intentionally offered or just dropped scraps. And once waterfowl learn that association, their entire behavior changes. We walked up to the first lake and immediately noticed something ridiculous. The American coots. There were hundreds of them, packed so tightly along the shoreline that you could barely see the water. And they were not skittish at all. They were basically waiting for us. Now, coots are common across North America, but seeing them this close, this relaxed, is unusual. Normally, you see them paddling away from you across a pond. Here, they were practically at our feet. But it was not just coots. Mixed in with the crowd were duck species that, if you bird in the Midwest or the Northeast, you almost never see at close range. Cinnamon Teal, for example. These are stunning ducks. The males have this rich, deep reddish-brown plumage that looks like velvet. In Wisconsin, where we are from, Cinnamon Teal are rare visitors, and when you do see them, they are usually far out on a marsh, half hidden in vegetation. Here, they were swimming right next to the shore, giving us absolutely perfect looks. We could see the bright red eye, the pale blue patch on the wing, every feather detail. It was honestly a special treat. Then there were the ring-necked ducks. Now, ring-necked ducks get their name from a faint brown ring around the neck that is almost impossible to see in the field. But what you can see easily is the bold white ring near the tip of the bill and the beautiful glossy black back with gray sides on the males. We sat there for a while, just watching them. They would dive underwater and pop back up closer to us. Normally, these ducks are pretty timid, but here they acted like they did not have a care in the world. And that is the magic of urban birding spots like this. The birds trade their natural wariness for the convenience of easy feeding. Now, a quick warning. Feeding wild waterfowl is generally not recommended. It can lead to nutritional imbalances, disease spread, and dependency on humans. But the reality is that in heavily visited parks, it happens, and the birds learn. So if you visit a place like this, enjoy the close views, but consider leaving the bread at home. The best thing you can do for the birds is watch them and let them be wild. As we continued around the lakes, we found even more species. Buffleheads were diving in the open water, and we got close enough to see the purple and green iridescent gloss on the male's head. That is something you need direct sunlight and close proximity to appreciate. From a distance, a bufflehead just looks like a black and white duck. Up close, the head shines like oil on water. Beautiful. We also picked out Gadwall, which are more subtly beautiful. The males have that fine gray vermiculation, like scaled armor, and a black rear end that contrasts with the rest of the body. And there was Scaup, too. Both greater and lesser Scaup can be tricky to separate, but in this mix, we saw females with the characteristic white patch at the base of the bill. Everywhere we looked, there was another duck, another angle, another identification challenge. The coots were running the show. They strutted around like they owned the place, and honestly, they kinda did. They would chase off other birds that got too close to a food source. It was fascinating to watch the social dynamics. Coots are often dismissed as boring birds, But when you watch them this closely, you realize they have real personality. They are bold, scrappy, and surprisingly expressive. Eventually, we had to pull ourselves away, but we left with the feeling that we had just experienced something rare. Normally, we work hard for our birding views, hiking through marshes and waiting patiently with spotting scopes. Here, the birds came to us. If you miss the next part of this trip, you miss the real reason why urban parks can be just as rewarding as wilderness reserves for finding specific target species. Our second stop was Lindo Lake, another urban park. The setup was similar, a lake surrounded by walking paths, benches, and plenty of human activity. But this spot had a different specialty. We were after Tricolored Blackbirds, a signature California species that has declined significantly in recent decades. Tricolored Blackbirds are closely related to Red-winged Blackbirds, and telling them apart is one of those identification puzzles that separates casual birders from serious ones. We started walking the perimeter. Right away, we spotted black-crowned night herons, which was a nice surprise. Night herons are usually hidden in trees during the day, but here they were out in the open, standing motionless at the water's edge. That alone was worth the trip. But the blackbirds were our main target. We kept hearing blackbird calls, but every flock we found turned out to be red-winged blackbirds. The difference is subtle. On a red-winged blackbird, the shoulder catch, called the epaulette, has a yellow or yellowish border below the red. On a tricolored blackbird, the lower border is white, and the white is much brighter and more extensive. It is a small detail, but once you see it side by side, it is unmistakable. We started to wonder if we would find any at all. Then, as we circled back to the starting point, we hit the jackpot. A mixed flock of red-winged and tricolored blackbirds was feeding in the grass near the water, and one of the tricoloreds was calling. And here is the interesting part. The tricolored blackbird's song sounds nothing like a red-winged. It has been described as sounding like a dying cat. It is a harsh, raspy, almost electronic sound. Once we heard that, we locked onto the bird visually and confirmed the white epaulette border. It was a clean sighting. This is the kind of moment that makes urban birding so satisfying. You do not always know where the birds will be, but when you put in the time and learn the subtle clues, they reveal themselves. And the fact that these birds were completely unbothered by our presence meant we could study them for as long as we wanted. To top it off, as we were leaving Lindo Lake, we got exceptional views of a western hummingbird species, likely an Anna's hummingbird based on the range and the iridescent pink-red throat. It fed on flowers right next to the parking lot, completely ignoring us. That is another hallmark of urban birding sites. The birds are habituated to human activity, so they go about their business as if you are not there. So what did we learn from this trip? First, urban parks can be absolute gold mines for waterfowl and other bird species, especially in Southern California, where many parks maintain open water year-round. Second, the tameness of the birds in these parks is directly linked to human activity and feeding. That tameness gives you an opportunity for observation and photography that you simply cannot get in wilder settings. Third, identification challenges like the red-winged versus tricolored blackbird are much easier to solve when you have prolonged, close-range views. Take advantage of that. If you want to try this yourself, look for city parks with large lakes, especially those with fishing piers, walking trails, and picnic areas. Visit during the cooler parts of the day when birds are most active. Bring binoculars, but honestly, at these spots you might not even need them. And keep a field guide or a birding app handy because you will see species that might be new to you. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden birding opportunities in your own neighborhood or in cities you visit, consider subscribing to the channel. We explore the unexpected corners of the natural world, from urban parks to remote wilderness, and we share the identification tips and stories that make birding so rewarding. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we will see you out there. Thanks for watching.